It's the Infinite Podcast. Go tell your friends. It's the Infinite Podcast. My God, it never ends. It's the Infinite Podcast with Rob and Cork the Kid.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite Podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom. From movies, comics, TV shows, video games, we got you covered. I'm Rob. I'm here, as always, with Court. And Court, we're doing another comic this week.
Doing
another
more
comic
comics.
thing.
Look at us now. Full pivot, full transition, but couldn't be happier because, comics are a huge piece of both of our lives, both of our creative lives. So really happy to dive into this week. DC's Kingdom Come, 1996, Mark Waid, drawn by the, absolutely incredible Alex Ross. But, you come for the Alex Ross art, but you stay for what unfolded out to be an incredible story.
Yeah, so last week we talked about the evil Superman trope in comics, and we noted, most notably, that Kingdom Come is like the antithesis of that, where, historically, with these evil Superman tropes, we have a Superman that has been aggrieved by some event or circumstance, and that causes him to turn evil, or the ship lands in the wrong place and he becomes evil, or whatever the case may be. But this, the Kingdom Come, obviously, is a situation where Superman becomes aggrieved and then retires in lieu of, becoming evil. Or does he? ... Yeah, man. So, the backstory on this comic is it's an Elseworld story. So it's kind of outside the regular DC continuity of the time. It's a 4-issue miniseries written by Waid and Ross. Obviously, Ross did all the artwork for it, which, to this day is probably the gold standard of comic book artwork.
Yeah, I could probably hold this comic and be like, this is the single greatest drawn comic book of all time. Like, I can very well make that claim.
And the cool thing about this comic is we kind of talked about at the end of the last episode of like comics not necessarily being terribly accessible, and people not knowing where to start. This one you can just pretty much pick up and get it, because it's an Elseworld story. If you're even vaguely familiar with the heroes that are involved in the story, you can understand it, and you can read it and take it in. So I think, as far as accessibility, this is one of the more accessible comics that can exist.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say to that is this probably is a little bit more, not in terms of the maturity level, but just some of the verbiage and dialogue they have in here. It is a little bit more mature. It is something that your reading level probably will have to be a little bit more developed to kind of consume this one, because, as we say, comics are stupid and dumb, but sometimes you can get stuff like this, stuff like Watchmen, where it's like, this is a little bit more mature. This is supposed to target a little bit more of an older audience.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it does a lot of things. It's mature, but it also, I think the through line of it is intended to kind of close the chapter on these darker comics in the sense, and kind of elevate comics back to kind of the fun and fantasy kind of stories, is what I think the aim of this comic serves to do. Short of that, we can just talk about it now. So obviously it's set in the future of the DC universe. The Justice League has all gone their separate ways. Yeah. They've all retired, basically, because of an event that transpired where the Joker, up to Joker things. He commits a mass murder of the Daily Planet, killing Lois Lane, most notably.
92 people, I believe, something like that.
He is thwarted and killed by a hero named Magog.
Yeah, so essentially what you have is this, like you said, the Justice League retired. Most of them were, kind of older at this point. We pick up with Batman, Dinah, and Oliver. They're all older. Like, they're all in their 70s to 80s at this point, and this is 10 years, so they were already all older by this point. So you have this new wave of superheroes that kind of stepped in, these new wave of, younger people, whether they be legacy, whether they be, in lieu of, older characters that they take the mantle of, whether they be the children of some of these heroes, whatever it may be. You have these younger heroes that kind of step in place, and Magog is essentially, he kind of is, propped up as after this event as not the new Superman, but somebody that can take his place as the voice for and like the face for them essentially. So Magog kills the Joker, and Superman, kind of goes into exile after this.
Yeah, but not for the reasons that you think.
Right.
Like, it's not because of Lois dying. It's not because of, the crime that transpired. It's the fact that Magog kills the Joker, and then the people of Metropolis are on board with it. Like, they're...
The people of the world essentially are like, good. Like, he's been wreaking havoc for how long, and he's gone now. Like, we don't have to deal with this anymore.
Yeah, there's a panel that shows, like a newspaper of voting, and it's, who do you trust to save the city of Metropolis, Magog or Superman? And Magog is overwhelming, the overwhelming favorite. And that's kind of like the backstory to this comic, because where it starts is with our protagonist, Norman McKay, is the basically the main character of Kingdom Come.
He's our point of view character, essentially. Which is, I think that's such a smart approach to take. I mean, obviously, and we said this last week, the story is drenched in religious connotations. And
that's where it starts.
Right.
He's reciting stuff to a man named Wesley Dodds, who...
I wonder who that is.
Yeah, if you're a comic historian, Wesley Dodds is the surname of the Sandman in DC Comics in the 30s.
Yep.
So Wesley Dodds is dying, and Wesley Dodds is bestowing upon him these apocalyptic visions of the future, and McKay's like, what is happening?
Right.
And then he's at the church, he's looking, doing some church.
Well, yeah, so this is his funeral, essentially. So Wesley dies, they're at his funeral, and who shows up? Lo and behold, the Spectre.
An angel phases through the walls. And it is the Spectre, Jim Corrigan, the Spectre. And he's like, hello, Norman. my main man. How would you like to judge the world?
Yeah.
Norman's like, no.
He's like, what? This doesn't make any sense. What's going on? He's just like, just come with me. We're going to go visit somebody. And who do they visit? Superman on the farm. Kal-El, not Clark Kent. Clark Kent is gone at this point. To the point where he gets upset when Wonder Woman shows up to kind of see him. And I love that little bit where he's kind of whispering and the Spectre's like, he can't hear you. He can't, like, this is how powerful I am. He doesn't know that we're here. He can't see
Spectre has
that.
Norman basically outside of time and space.
Right.
Kind of literally being an observer to everything that's unfolding. And the Spectre's whole role is like just be ominous.
Yeah.
That's basically the Spectre's role in this. When Norman's like, is something bad gonna happen? The Spectre's like, hang on.
So Wonder Woman shows up to Superman. She's just like, these kids are getting absolutely out of control. We need you. Like, I can only do so much. Bruce is never coming back to this. Like, we need you specifically. Like, for lack of a better term, you're the reason that we're here. Like, you're kind of you don't realize that it's not just your physical prowess, it's your meaning to the world was the fact that we had such a handle on things, and you're gone, and now there's no collateral damage is not a thing to them. They don't care about the lives that they take. I think there's even a panel in here where there's a fight with the younger generation, and they're just, or what do they call themselves? The Justice Battalion. And they're kind of laughing in the face of like people being killed and innocent people being killed.
Yeah. And the thing that kind of sets kind of things over the edge is an incident in Kansas where Magog kind of, he effed it, for lack of a better word. They were this new group of heroes was battling a
Parasite.
And
Parasite was done. He was trying to surrender. Like, he was like, I'm done. And Magog, using that same reference that he had for the Joker, like, this is you now. So, like, this is who you are. You need to act like it. So Magog, or Parasite, like, in a last fit of like survivalism, like splits Captain Atom, and splitting the atom creates a nuclear bomb. Yeah, you see, Mark Waid's like, you see what I did there? And then irradiates Kansas, parts of Nebraska, so
kills millions of people.
Yeah, and not only do you kill millions of people on impact, you now just took out the heart of all the agriculture in the entire country with you. So that's gonna have lasting effects for much more time past that as well.
And Superman's like, fine.
Yeah.
I guess. So Superman springs back into action. He recruits a bunch of the old Justice Leaguers. We were introduced to them. I love the way that the kind of core Justice League members are introduced in the story, is, as we've talked about, like the DC characters before being like these gods amongst men.
Yeah,
and
that's a theme I want to hit when we're at the end of this.
Yeah, and that's how they're presented when we kind of get their splash page intros.
They're at the god level at this point. Like, this is where they're like, Green Lantern essentially makes like this dome, not this dome, but like this
emerald palace.
Yeah, this emerald fortress that he kind of patrols the galaxy with.
Yeah, it's the Alan Scott Green Lantern, who's been Green Lantern for decades, and he's reached he basically becomes the embodiment of the Green Lantern ring. Like, he can pretty much do anything.
Right.
We have the Flash.
Yeah, I like this one. So you know it's Wally West because they're in Keystone, and it was the late 90s, so obviously it was Wally West, but he'd kind of found a way to patrol the city. Like, he's perpetual motion at this point. Like, he doesn't stop. He's just kind of always in motion throughout the entirety of Keystone City. So there's in reality too. Yeah. So
we have
Hawkman
who's kind of like
the Pacific Northwest. He's patrolling, and what is it? He's for any crimes that are against the Earth itself. He'll kind of deal with.
Yeah, he's like a sentinel of environmental justice. And then obviously we have Wonder Woman and Superman, and then Arthur Curry, Aquaman, we meet later.
Right, went back into the ocean at that point.
Yeah. So I really like the way that they introduce the Justice League as like these. What was it? Luther says later that the gods have stepped off of Olympus. Is essentially how the Justice League's presented in this, where they come in and everyone's like, "Oh shoot!"
Yeah, yeah.
And then obviously the one outlier is Batman, who Superman goes to visit, and Superman's like, "Hey man, I'm getting the band back together." And Batman's like,
"Absolutely not. Get lost. Get lost. I could care less.
Like, you left,
and
like, this is, the seeds of your sow, basically, from you leaving is this result. Like, you knew this could happen, and you left anyway,
right?
And that's Batman." In a nutshell, and he said, your idealism is going to doom the world, basically, because it's just going to make things worse. Like, what do you think you're going to do? Like, you think you're going to change their minds? That's not going to happen,
right?
And then Superman's like, all right, well, it's worth a shot,
right?
And then these other humans, basically, that former superheroes that Batman has stayed close to. So Oliver Queen, Dinah Lance, Ted Cord, all kind of step out of the shadows, and they're like, "Oh boy,
yeah, we're all old now. This kind of sucks.
We're all old now." Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, or the Hall of Injustice, rather, Lex Luthor has put together a group of former villains, current villains,
and like corporatized villains, essentially.
Yeah.
And they're all like, we're gonna, what is it? The humanitarian,
the Mankind Liberation Front.
Mankind Liberation Front.
Yeah, they get together. They're like, hey man, Superman's back. Things are gonna kick off. Lex Luthor's like, don't worry, I got a plan. Yeah,
if you guys would just pan to your left, and you would see Shazam standing next to me in a suit. Shazam is a vastly important piece to this story. Upon kind of revisiting this, I love the way they kind of handle Shazam, and also it's the perfect way to sow this whole narrative thread of this idea of Superman, like how he, not physically, but like, how much of a leader he is to them. Like, just the conceit behind Billy Batson as Superman is the person he tries to mimic when he turns into Shazam. Like, having that be the one, like, you easily, and it does happen, Magog and Superman fight, but having it be Billy Batson be the one that fights Superman is just such a smart move in the last part of the story.
Yep. So Justice League builds a prison in the irradiated Kansas called the Gulag.
Hilarious.
If your goal, Superman, is to reinstate the idea that you're hope and truth and justice, maybe don't name your super prison the Gulag. Yep. But hey man, what do I know? They're just taking people basically off the streets, and throwing them in there.
So he gives them the choice. It's either you join me, like you're gonna join the Justice League proper, or else like we're gonna by force we're gonna take you down. So, yeah.
And then, I mean, obviously one of the kind of, staples of this is Magog himself. And they come to a confrontation, and Magog is like, it's like, what did you do, Superman?
Yeah,
like,
what did you do? What do you do? Like, imagine that, anything that any piece of, the media that you can find where it's like, you're washed, essentially, like, not yourself, your morals are washed. You're like, this whole sense of morality for you doesn't matter to anything. Like, I killed the Joker, and what I like is there's this piece of, like, you can feel Magog kind of gets the fact that he killed the Joker, and like maybe he wasn't the figurehead that he wants to be in this, but lo and behold, it is him that has to be the one. So it's just like, I took care of a problem that you and Batman in the League refused to do because you guys had these this sense of morality. But like, the other side of the coin is, look what this got us to. Like, you guys are going out in the streets and patrolling, and like, you guys are murderers, essentially, because you could, like, a murderer to them, to the old Justice League, would be like, you won't save innocent people. You're only going to take down guilty parties. Like, you need to find a balance between the two.
Yeah, and they kind of it's kind of an unintentionally hilarious standoff. Like, you really get to see the discrepancy here. Like, Magog fires a blast from his spear that grazes Superman, but he's still standing.
Yep.
And he's like, all right, well, you blew it.
Yep.
Basically. And then so basically now the gulag is getting
it's getting filled up.
It's becoming this pressure cooker because there's not just heroes in there.
It's villains
in there also. And Superman's like, all right, we got to figure out what we're going to do now. So they go
to Apocalypse.
Yep, they go to Apocalypse. Superman visits Orion because Darkseid's long gone. Mm-hmm. He's been usurped by Orion.
Good job, Orion.
And Superman's like, hey, how's it going, man? Over here.
Yeah.
Everything looks the same.
Yeah.
And Orion's like, yep, it does.
Yeah. I feel like Orion's just very lonely on Apocalypse. Like,
and Superman's like, well, if you're lonely, how about this? I got all these...
It's like the trade-off for TikToks. It's like, you get a prison full of corrupt heroes and supervillains. I get to not have a prison of corrupt superheroes.
But then Orion's like, okay, yeah, bring him here, whatever. And then Superman kind of like does like a look around, and he's like,
this could go wrong. Yeah, no, very bad.
Bad idea. See you later, Orion. And Orion's like, all right,
peace out. Remember all those times we had together? Remember the fourth world? Good stuff. I love the fact that also Scott Free helps him build the gulag as well, because the man can escape from anything. So that's the person I would probably want making a prison.
It's like the Stallone movie where he builds the prison.
Oh yeah.
Builds the prison that he can't escape, or whatever the case is. Yeah, then they go to Atlantis. Mm-hmm. They visit their old pal Aquaman, and Arthur Curry's like, get lost. Yeah,
get lost. I love that all those other, like, some of the Justice League members like, Superman, leave me alone. I don't care. Take Wonder Woman, go kick rocks.
I also love the idea that he's like, I'm the king of Atlantis, and you guys relegated to me to being basically like the fish person,
right? Of the Justice League, like,
get lost.
Yeah, jerks. Look at this. Look at my king. Look at that gold. Look at that pearl down there. This is awesome down here.
And then that's the thing where he kind of throws it at Wonder Woman, like, you got kicked off of Paradise Island, and Superman's like, you what? Mm-hmm. And he's basically saying, like, you messed up. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why the Amazons don't want you there anymore, right? Wonder Woman's like, ugh, I wasn't gonna bring that up, but then Superman was
not to my love interest, Superman.
And Superman's like, what happened? And she was like, yeah, that's basically what happened. Like, they stripped me of my royalty, my title, everything, kicked me off the island because they said, I didn't achieve my mission, basically, which was peace on Earth.
Right. And I mean, this is where the religious connotations that, like, this is essentially, what's happening is it's Judgment Day is what they're working towards, and the interpretation of it through Mark Waid and through this DC landscape is like, this idea of peace on Earth cannot be achieved because the humans are going to destroy themselves. Like, the whole idea of the Justice League and all the people that are enveloped in the Justice League they are gods amongst men, but what happens when they're not the gods? They're the men, and they couldn't stop anything.
Yeah,
they
Norman's
just
like,
this...
he's asking the Spectre basically, like, whose side are we on here? And Spectre's like,
yeah, there's no. We're observers. We're gonna watch and see how this unfolds. It's not even like that. It's more of like a not yet. Like just wait. Like just
something
wait.
bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, can't tell you.
Can't tell you, but something bad's gonna happen. And then, lo and behold, Batman saddles up with Lex Luthor, and you're like, what?
Yeah, yep. And like, look, first read, you're like, what? And then, like, you reread, you're like, Batman would do something like this. Old man Batman on top of that, he 100% would do something like this.
Yeah. But maybe he's got a plan, right?
Yeah.
And then Luthor basically says, like, all right, Superman's got these people in prison, and we're going to use that, and we're going to basically...
Wipe them out. Goodbye.
Yeah. And he's like, I got an ace up on my sleeve. You wait.
Yeah.
And Batman's like, I'm going to find out actually what that ace is. So he brings in Martian Manhunter, who's kind of retired.
And lost his mind on top of that. Because
he's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I hate everything. This is the worst.
Yeah, humans suck. This is horrible.
I'm not the Martian Manhunter anymore. I'm just John Jones.
Yep.
Human person.
Yeah, kind of human person.
And then Batman's like, I need you to read this. Who's this servant eyeballing everybody? What's his deal? Martian Manhunter reads his mind, and he's like, ooh.
We're gonna save this for the next issue.
Yeah, and then we've learned that this is Billy Batson. And Batman's like, this is your trump card, huh? You brainwashed Shazam basically. And when he brainwashed him with a worm, courtesy of Dr. Sivana. And Lex Luthor was like, do you think when they came up with the term mad scientist they were talking about Sivana? Because he did some great work.
Yeah, he did.
And then so basically they're going to use Shazam to kill Superman.
Yep.
Because he can.
Such a genius plan. Like I said, you think it's going to be Magog up until this point. You think that at the end of this, it's going to be the new heroes versus the old heroes. Big old civil war. And, they already set the landscape that it was going to take place in Kansas. You're thinking this is it. This is going to be the thing that happens.
And then Batman's like, well... what if I stop that plan? Double cross!
Yeah.
Batman double cross.
Yep.
He knocks Billy down, he stomps on his throat, obviously, so he can't Shazam his way out of there. And Batman's like, alright, that's it. The jig is up.
Yep.
Task Force young heroes, go.
Execute Delta maneuvers.
And they do. All of Batman's young he's recruited basically the young heroes basically.
Dick Grayson's back with them. It's all the people that you would have known. All their sidekicks are with them. And then it's your Ted Cord, Diana, and Oliver all with them. So,
but Shazam gets away. Billy gets away. And basically, and then you might be wondering, well, what's up with him? Basically, after everything happened, when the Justice League retired, Shazam, the Shazam side of Billy Batson kind of retreated away.
Yep.
And just kind of left Billy. And then he's been under Lex Luthor's influence, and Lex Luthor basically made him believe he was schizophrenic and, experiencing these episodes.
I'm acting like a child sometimes.
But he gets away. Batman's like, I'm old. I can't catch you. And then when you know it, Billy Batson stumbles into a room full of worms, mind control worms. It might be the clunkiest part of this comic.
Sure.
That he gets out of there and he's like, oh no, more mind control worms. Yeah. So Batman's like, oh boy, all right, well, it's really gonna kick off now.
Yeah.
So the Justice League's at Green Lantern's Emerald Palace, and then Spectre and Norm are watching, and all of a sudden, yoink!
Yep.
The Flash pulls Norman out of the realm, the pocket dimension,
right?
And the Spectre was like, "What? What?" So because the Flash is everywhere all at once. He's there. So he pulls Norman in, and Power Girl grabs him, and he's like, "What is this? Who are you?" And Norman's like,
"I'm just a guy."
And he starts spouting scripture at Superman, and Superman's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, Doomsday, Superman, the apocalypse is coming. And Superman,
so it's like, I'm gonna go prevent the apocalypse. What do you? Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Get lost.
Get lost. The best the tagline of Kingdom Come
is get lost.
Get lost.
Magog, get lost.
And then in the most sitcom-y way, Superman is like, I'm preventing the apocalypse. What do you think's going to happen? The prison's going to explode? And then the news, prison explodes. It's kicked off. It's hit the fan at the prison. Wonder Woman's like, all right, everyone, battle stations, everyone. Superman's like, whoa.
I actually really enjoy this point. And the most interesting character in this whole thing might be Wonder Woman. And I mean, if you know anything about Wonder Woman, I mean, it's this conceit that, you know, over the princess status, over the royalty of Themyscira, over being, you know, one of the Trinity of the Justice League, at the core of her being, she's a warrior. Like, that's what's built into her, like, you know, her source code of her DNA is that warrior status. So that's why she's so immediately like, all right, let's go deal with this. And it's just like her seeing her in Superman, kind of that dichotomy between the two. Like, she never left, you know, after what happened, but Superman left too, which is very interesting. Yep.
She sends a few people down. She sends Green Lantern down. She sends a few people down to like, deal with this, please. And then, you know, they're like, Superman's like, all right, it's all gonna work. Don't worry. Everything's fine. And then Green Lantern comes on the comms. He's like, everything is not fine. They killed Captain Comet. And Superman's like, they what?
I'm just going to spoil the biggest sacrifice in this. It's the death of Captain Comet.
And yeah, Wonder Woman's like, that's it. All right. We're all going now. Superman's like, whoa. Can we talk about this? And Wonder Woman's like, nope. No. We're done talking.
I love it so much. It's so interesting that she can't break that. Even if she sees that these new heroes are so unhinged, even if she sees all these things, I'm going to fight at the end of the day. Like, are we just going to sit? Like, I understand, like, I grabbed you, I got you for a reason. You can, you know, mentally change them, but I'm the one that can physically, like, let's get it done.
And
like,
she's like, you know, your way's not working.
It's working. It's not. It's you went to Orion, nothing happened. Like, you've done all these things. It still look at the world. The world's literally on the brink.
You know, you threw them in that prison with your stupid little hologram, and we see like a few panels of like inside the prison, and they're like the Superman like preachy hologram is like, change your ways. You know better than this, and the other guy's like, get lost. Get lost.
Yep.
Kingdom Come, get lost.
Yeah. Oh, it's so interesting. I really love what they do with Wonder Woman in this.
So yeah, all hands on deck. They fly down, and like she kisses Superman, but it's just like half-hearted, basically like a pity kiss almost. She's like, we're done talking. We're actioning now. So they go down, leave Superman by himself at the Emerald Palace, and he's like,
What do I do?
What to do? And Norm and Spectre sitting there with their popcorn, like, what's he gonna do?
This is the climax of the story.
Spectre's like, I know what he's gonna do. And Superman flies down. He flies through the floor of the Batcave. Rude, first of all.
The Wayne Manor was already in ruins at that point. It's
fine. Do like when he shows up the first time. He's like, what happened? And Batman's like, shut up.
Yeah, I've been busy. It's all right.
I've been busy making Gotham safe.
Yeah, look at me. I'm better than you in every way, shape, or form.
I don't even leave this place. Yeah, and Gotham's safe.
Look at my stuff.
I got bat robots.
Got bat stoplights. Look at this. It's awesome.
I got a cast, body cast.
Man,
that lets me walk.
Yeah, because I'm old.
Because I'm old and I'm human.
I'm old and I'm human. Look at you, Clark. I hate you.
Yeah, I fought Darkseid, presumably, in this universe.
Yeah, yup.
I'm old, man.
Come on.
So Superman's like, look, maybe you were right. And Batman's like, I know I was right.
I'm old. I know I'm right.
I have that old wisdom.
Come on.
That old person wisdom. These damn kids.
Yeah, that's what Kingdom Come is, essentially.
And then Batman's like, I already told you to get lost. And Batman's like, look, wouldn't it just be better if everyone killed each other? And Superman's like, no. Batman's like, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? Because all these issues we're having, like, should we not let the world play out the way it's supposed to play out? Like, should this not just happen for the sake of, because we can always rebuild out of this. We can kind of, and that was Lex Luthor's whole conceit, was just like, I think what makes it interesting for Lex is like, he still hates Superman. So that's why he had the Shazam trick up his sleeve. Lex Luthor didn't care about humanity or the saving of humanity. No. He just wanted to see Superman die. But Batman's like, that's why it's very, it's very complex, because Batman's like, if we just let this happen, then it is what it is, right? Like,
fewer powered people
in the world. But then Superman's just like, do you not think they would come after you in this situation? Do you think they're going to make a delineation between you and Oliver and Ted and me and Diana and Hal? Like, they're not going to make any difference between us. Like, you're still one of us at this point.
Yeah. And then Superman's like, look, we disagree on a lot, but the one thing that we do agree on is preventing the loss of life. And it's like, that's what's at stake here. And Batman's like, all right.
Wish I had my Bat City.
Yeah. Where's my Bat robot? Where's my Bat sympathizer? He's like, all right, fine. I'll help, maybe. But before you go, you should know that Shazam is coming. And he's brainwashed by Lex Luthor. Superman's like, oh, no.
Yeah. And don't they add a little bit before that where, like, this little, Chekhov's gun insert of, like, doesn't Superman get hit by something where it's magic and it cuts him a little bit and just the
sword. Yeah, he picks up Wonder Woman's sword.
Yeah, and she's just like, this sword can split the neutron from an atom, like, you were always susceptible to...
The sword could split Captain Atom.
No, yeah, well, yeah. But yeah, you were always a little susceptible to magic, and then, lo and behold, that's the thing that's going to take him out.
Yeah, so Superman races off to the Gulag. The Gulag's been breached. Mm-hmm. Superman's super speeding, and then he gets flattened by a faster Blur, which we obviously know is just Captain Marvel's here. And he lands there. It's a great panel.
Oh, yeah, it's Shazam. Insane.
Of when he lands and he's like sitting there and he's smiling. Really weird, creepy looking smile on brainwashed Shazam. And then it's on.
Yeah.
The fight's on.
Yeah,
Everyone's
Bruce
fighting.
shows up. Batman's back. He's got his whole squad that kind of drops in there, but, Billy's just pummeling Superman, uncontrollably, just, the true might. And I think it's such a, that's why it's my favorite thing, because it's not just the mentality of the young people are taking no
Stand
Billy
kids.
It is Billy's a kid, Billy is truthfully he is the perfect embodiment of why Superman is so important to everything, and the fact that he's going to be the one to kill Superman, that will truthfully put the last nail in the coffin of this old age of superheroes and turn us into the new age.
Yeah. So Shazam and Superman are fighting. Batman shows up. Batman's crew's basically there to just buffer between the two, like
in the Montgomery Brawl.
Just restrain as many people as possible. Batman gets knocked to the ground by a fellow named Von Bach, who's got Batman dead to rights, and then ka-ching, sword goes through Von Bach's
Wonder
chest. Nope.
Oh, who was it?
It is Wonder Woman that kills him, but it's not a thanks Wonder Woman. It's a what are you doing? Batman is furious,
and that's why I said that's who she is at the core, and it's embedded into her. She doesn't know anything else. As much diplomacy as you want, that's who Wonder Woman is. She's a warrior at the end of the day, and there's a war amongst us. So
yeah, Wonder Woman's what exactly. Do you want me to do? Don't you and Superman both you don't get it.
Yeah,
there's no escaping what's coming, and then the Spectre's
yep, there you go. Yeah,
this is it.
Head on in there, kid.
Remember that thing that I've been saying?
Yeah,
that is gonna happen. Here it comes.
Yeah,
and then meanwhile the government is the government.
Yeah,
they're quick.
Nukes, all the nukes. You got a nuke? Drop it. What country are you from? It doesn't matter. Drop the nuke right now.
Yeah, so three jets fly off with nuclear bombs. Wonder Woman takes Batman up into the sky. She's like, listen here, Batman.
Yeah.
If I drop you from here, it's not gonna go well.
If I dropped you from another 100 feet down, it probably wouldn't go. If I dropped you from 10 feet in the sky, it wouldn't go well.
You're really old.
You old man.
But Batman's not paying attention because he watches the drones whiz by and he's like, "There's a."
I think there could be nukes on there, probably.
Wonder Woman's like, ugh. All right, fine.
Trying to prove a point.
So Wonder Woman and Batman go to disarm the nukes. They only disarm two of them, and then the third one drops, and you're like,
yeah. And this is where it's the crux of the Superman Shazam fight, and Superman's like, what does Superman do? I think he's
getting lightning bolted.
Yeah.
Shazam's lightning bolt spamming Superman.
Yeah, and then Superman stops him from saying Shazam.
Because basically what Billy's doing, or what Shazam is doing, is he's saying Shazam, and then he's basically stepping back so that the lightning hits Superman.
Yep.
Because it's magic.
Yep.
So it's it's really messing Superman up. And then he goes to do it again, and Superman's like, fool me once. Shame on me, fool me twice. You can't get fooled again. Shazam. So he says Shazam again, but this time Superman pulls Shazam in, and the lightning bolt hits Shazam. He turns back into Billy, and then Superman grabs him by the face.
Right.
He's like, all right, enough.
He's like, look, I have time to go, stop. There's still time to stop this last nuke. He's like, look, bro. It's not looking too great, ain't it?
No. And he's like what? We're at a crossroads.
Right, yeah, this is, do you kill me and complete Luthor's plan and, be turned into this dark age of anti-heroes, or are we just gonna save the most people for the most amount of good? You tell me what you want to do.
And it's oh man,
it's great. It's incredible.
This is probably the best maybe the best bit of dialogue in this whole thing is Superman basically saying like, I can stop this, but I don't know if I should, or if I'm even allowed to. Like, you know, this is a decision that affects mankind, and I'm not mankind, but you're both, Billy. Like, you should make this choice. Like, you're the one that makes the decision. Like, and I know like he, you know, takes the brainwashing. The brainwashing's eliminated, and like Billy's there, and he, you know, Superman's like, I'm not a god, I'm not a man, I'm none of these things, I'm just an alien. But you're both, Billy, like more than anyone.
Yeah, you're the god and the man.
Yeah, like you can make this, you know what it's like to live both worlds, and only you can make this decision. And, you know, you can let me go or you can stop me, but I'm going to stop that bomb. And then Billy kind of makes like the third choice, because Superman flies up to stop the nuke, and then Billy transforms back into Shazam. He grabs Superman, throws him to the ground, grabs the bomb, and then detonates it, you know, in the sky. And, you know, we get to Norman and the Spectre, and the Spectre's like,
there it is.
Yep. Norman's like, well, this is
like okay, but
still bad.
This is still bad, like,
because we cut to another page of Superman kneeling in a graveyard of skeletons.
The vision came to fruition.
Yeah,
that kept dropping throughout the comic all up to this point. So yeah.
Superman kneeling in a graveyard of skeletons. Like, the nuke went off and still killed a bunch of people. A lot of people from Batman's crew specifically got vaporized. Superman loses it. He goes
to the UN.
Yep, his eyes light up, you know, heat vision style. He's gonna drop. He traps everybody inside.
I forget what that line he has in there too, or the line that that the Spectre had in there too. He's just like, I've never seen the Man of Steel with rage like this. Like,
He says, after 10 years, he has finally unleashed a wrath that would cow Satan himself.
Yeah, yep.
Because, like, yeah.
That's my line of the thing. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah. And Superman, you know, evil Superman trope, potentially manifesting.
It's getting there.
We're potentially manifesting evil Superman trope. He gets to the UN and he's about to bring it down, and then Norman shows up.
Yeah, there it is.
Norman
That's his true
up.
Purpose.
Yep, and he calls him Clark, you know, and that gets Superman to kind of like pay attention, and Norman's like, you know, gives him the speech.
Gives him the Danny Tanner.
Gives him the old Danny Tanner. Yep. He's like, sit down.
Grabs the chair, turns it around. Sit down, DJ. I got to tell you something.
You're better than this. Yeah. You know, you're a hero, but yada, 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 yada. Batman shows up with a bunch of the other heroes, and Superman's like, how many of them survived? And I love Batman's response to this when he was like, enough that like the problem is still where it was, but I think we're in a better spot. Basically, is what Batman says to him. Is like, you know, maybe nothing changed, but maybe something changed. Who's to say? Superman's like, all right.
Title card, Kingdom Come.
Yeah. Superman, you know, Norman's like, phew.
Yeah.
All right.
Save the world.
And then the Spectre's like,
peace out.
Mission accomplished.
Jim Corrigan out.
I did it.
Yeah.
I'm the best.
Oh, the Spectre.
We go to Kansas again. Superman's back on the farm. Diana's there, and she's like, you know, you were right.
Yeah.
Basically, like, you know, we almost destroyed the world. But we all got our humanity back.
Right.
Isn't that what this is all about? Metaphor.
Yeah.
She gives him the glasses, the Clark Kent glasses, because he's taking back his humanity.
Yep.
And that's where we leave it. Superman and Wonder Woman kind of go off into the sunset, and then we go to a year later. They're back at the superhero diner.
Yeah, the superhero 60s inspired diner.
Superman's like, I hate this.
Yeah. Batman's like, steak me now. Somebody give me a steak.
I also hate this, but give me some steak.
Yeah. Pronto. Batman's dogging his steak. Bruce, we gotta tell you something. You're pregnant. I know.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I know everything. See my city? It's patrolled. I know everything.
Wonder Woman's like, by the way, I want you to be the Godfather. And Superman's like, what?
Hold on. Horrible decision, by the way, because he's like 80.
Yeah.
Bad decision.
Terrible
because, like,
decision.
Best case scenario, the kid turns out to be like a God-level Robin.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, the kid turns into like a evil God-level Robin. Oh no, the Superman evil trope is just back, essentially.
Jim Corrigan and Norman are at the diner. They get a Spectre sandwich or whatever it's called, and Jim Corrigan like, ugh,
Yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah.
Batman kind of looks at them like, you're the Spectre from DC Comics.
How do you know? How you know that, bro? Is you the
Spectre's like,
police?
get lost.
Is you the FBI? How do you know that?
Get lost, Batman.
And then they literally walk off into the sunset.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's it.
Kingdom Come.
It's great.
What an absolutely, monumental piece. I mean, this is the crux from the 90s. This is like one of the big bridging points from the 90s into the 2000s. You can pick this up right now. It will be relevant right now. I forget what that force was, that quote-unquote superhero force that was trying to, this is where Superman comes back, where they're trying to stop the immigrants from coming into the country. And he's just like, you immigrants, there's not enough room, and Kansas isn't here anymore. And Superman's like, I'm also an immigrant, so I'm going to stop this, I think. But all these things are super relevant for today. This is just, it's an incredible read. It's like, it's one of those, like, if I were to have like a top 10 list, and maybe this is something we do one day, of like, comics that are like essential, like this is in the essential list. Like if I were to name a couple from the essential list of comics, it's like it's Watchmen is definitely in the essential category.
The Minutemen,
yeah, the Minutemen and their something whatever.
Yeah,
I think he's essentially Captain America, if I'm not mistaken. That's truthfully who he is. But yeah, like this comic itself is one of the most important that's ever been made. I mean, there's a reason why Alex Ross isn't just drawing every single, like, it's super tough for you to get, but you get something like that. But it's just, Mark Waid is one of the greatest writers of all time, and he's proven that for, 3 decades now of how incredible he is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is just an absolute must read. Make sure you seek this out. Like you said earlier, even if you just know who Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman are, then you're going to know the story. But all the themes in it are super realized. They're super thought-provoking, which is always great. And just...
Deadman's in this.
Mr. Miracle's in this.
Briefly.
Yeah. They killed Crimson Comet. Or not, right?
Captain Comet.
And
right. Captain Atom.
And all the captains dying. R.I.P. I can't believe they split the atom. Parasite was trying to surrender. That's all I'm saying. Parasite was dead to rights.
I love how Deadman. I'm looking at the bit right now with Deadman, and he's like, the Spectre's kind of weird, ain't he? Mm-hmm. And Norman's like, yeah, he's a little weird. And he's like, he used to be a cop, I think. And then the Spectre's like, get over here. Yeah. Stop talking to Deadman. He's a weirdo.
Deadman don't deserve this. You want to give out some awards? Our world famous awards?
Sure.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do who's the most underrated character in this whole thing?
Most underrated character? Maybe Magog?
I mean, from a religious connotation point, absolutely not. And I would never say that over the airways. But for the understanding of this story, I could see where you're coming from. I feel like for me, it's gonna be Wonder Woman, because she is like, it's so awesome of an idea for her to not portray, like, that's why, like, even if you know what these characters are about, they get hyper realized in this story. Like, everything that Batman stands for is hyper realized, everything Superman stands for is hyper realized, everything Lex Luthor stands for is hyper realized. But Wonder Woman is the best example of that, because some hyper realization isn't a heightening of what it could be, it's just like what the truth would be. And the truth for Wonder Woman is she is like, obviously, but who does she change for at the end? She changes for Superman in the last bit, but up until that point where they kind of have their little, not physical confrontation, but like, she's like, you guys don't understand, like, we have to put them down. If it comes to the case, we have to put them down. We have to put them down. That's just the way it's going to go. So I think she's such a great character to this story.
I also think in a weird way, even though he's like super integral, I think Shazam is a little underrated in this too, just because you only really get to see the true Shazam shine right at the end. Yeah. Up until then, he's kind of just this brainwashed, smiling sociopath. But, you really get to see him shine in those last couple pages, when he makes the sacrifice. So in a way, like, I think Shazam is also super underrated in this.
I like that. Best relationship? It's Batman and Superman.
Batman and his commitments to keeping crime out of Gotham.
Yeah, Batman and his bat drones, I guess, are the best relationship.
His bat robots. But no, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's Batman and Superman, like, because they have those, it's not a mistake that they kind of place the two meetings between them right at the beginning, right at the end. Like, they have those two kind of, like, both are kind of contentious meetings, but, like, the second one is when they, like, really rekindle their, like, what made them, the world's finest, basically. Like, Superman's like, we have our disagreements, but we have this one thing. Yep. This is one thing that...
They did the same thing in Injustice, too. It's the same exact thing, where they were just like, why'd you leave... He said, why'd you leave this here? It's just like, those were good memories. Like, it's the same thing. They have an understanding for each other that, even the best of friends might not have, because they have truth in between the two of them.
Yeah, like, we disagree on a lot, and we've even disagreed on how to handle this situation, but there's this one thing that we don't compromise, and it's, preventing the loss of life, and I know you can help me with this.
Great.
It's a great moment.
Most heroic moment?
I mean, Shazam detonating the nuke.
I mean, I can argue it's Superman, and, like, I'm gonna spoil my favorite chop. It's Superman holding, I forget who he's holding, but when he comes back, that could be the most heroic moment in and of itself, just because it is the very idea of what this comic is. Like, just Superman's presence alone had people, like, had some of the other, the younger heroes cowering a little bit, like, oh shoot, like, that's actually Superman.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's, like, what is, heroics if not your presence itself.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Best bit. You know what the best bit is? The best bit is when Ted Kord, Dinah, and Oliver, like, walk out of the shadows. If, like, Superman didn't know they were already there because he's Superman. Like, you just thought you guys walked out of the shadow. Like, you're not Batman. You knew he was there.
I think the best bit is just the Spectre being like, wait for it.
Yeah, wait for it.
Hold on. Hold on.
Hold it, Thor.
Hang on, the big thing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Hang on. Norman's like, why are we watching this whole thing? He's like, wait for it.
Why me? Why me?
Get lost, also.
Get lost. Favorite cameo? I mean, we could do this on 3, right? 1, 2, 3, Orion.
Orion, yeah.
Because Orion's just like, my dad was really evil, wasn't he? Like, that's what I just get from him, that he's just...
And it's only like it's like a page or two of Superman on Apocalypse, and Orion's like, all right, things are good. Things are good here. Yeah. I like this job.
Yeah.
Superman's like, all right.
What even goes on Apocalypse in the future?
It's just fighting. People are just fighting all over the place.
Yeah.
And Orion just watches.
Yeah. Because it's, like, not on a cosmic, so you can just chill there.
Yeah. And he doesn't have, like, he doesn't have Darkseid's ambitions.
Yeah.
So, like, he just chills on Apocalypse and just lets things happen.
Yeah.
And Superman's like, I could,
bring him here.
You good? You good here? And Orion's like, yeah, I'm good here.
It used to be fun.
I bet we were fun.
Yeah, all those fourth world, all those what do they call themselves? All those Justice League times fourth world adventures.
Also, shout out Aquaman for standing up for himself.
Finally.
Good
job. That's why I want to talk about Justice so bad, because, like, Aquaman gets such a short end of the stick in Justice. Like, his son gets killed in Justice. Like, it's nuts.
Also, the Council of Godly Beings that convenes.
Oh yeah.
With the wizard, the Shazam wizard, the Guardians of Oa are there.
I hate the Guardians of Oa. Can I get into it?
Sure.
Over any form of... They're the worst. They're horrible. They suck. They won't do anything themselves except for the one. They're horrible.
Yeah, so, like, they have, like, a meeting, and they're like, man, wizard, you really goofed by giving your powers to Billy Batson. And the wizard's like, too late now.
Yeah. I wish there was a being powerful enough to deal with this.
Yeah, so who's there? The Phantom Stranger's there. The guy's there. The wizard. The wizard's there. The Guardian of Oa, Ganthet, is there. The High Father is there. And Zeus is there.
Nice.
And they're like, man,
Zeus, your daughter's going crazy down there.
Imagine if we could do something.
Yeah, wouldn't that be crazy? You guys want In-N-Out, or you guys want some food, or you guys good?
I think I'm retroactively saying my favorite cameo is Deadman. Just because he's like, man,
yeah,
look how wacky I am.
Yeah. Because he just doesn't need to be there.
No.
But it just makes it so much better.
And he's like, look how crazy this is.
I love it.
Isn't this crazy?
I do like it.
Look at the Spectre. Isn't he crazy? And then the Spectre's like, let's go.
Yeah.
We gotta go. Dead Man's like, well, see you later. It's been fun.
I've been Dead Man. He's like a stand-up comedian.
He's like Deadpool in this.
Yeah.
He's like, isn't this crazy? We're doing a Kingdom Come right now.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
How do you know the name of the comic?
How did you get here?
How do you know this is a comic itself?
What happened? Who wrote this in? Mark Waid.
Brian Michael Bendis showed up to hang out with his friend. He's like, look, this would be hilarious if we just threw this in there, right? What is the best? I mean, the best 1v1 is Shazam versus Superman. That's easy.
Yeah.
Best set? Best setting?
Best set. The Gulag.
The digitized
Actually,
Kansas.
no. I take it back. The Emerald Palace.
Oh, yeah, the Emerald Palace is cool. It's good stuff. Best heat check performance?
Norman, when he actually
Did something?
when he actually did something.
But then not Jim Corrigan, Norman McKay immediately was just like, you're an idiot. Like, you're stupid. Like, you waited this whole time. Couldn't you have not done something this whole time if you have all this infinite power? And he's like, I gotta go. Funniest moment? Bring me my steak. I'm Batman.
That was pretty good. He was so incessant.
He was. Need my steak. I'm old.
He was like, coffee and keep it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, Batman at the diner, is actually probably the best bit.
Best exposition dump. It's probably the explaining of what's up with the Justice League now, the OG
so
Justice
great.
League.
It's like they're written in such a way that they're like beyond.
Right. Best source material callback. The fact that Lex Luthor's just always on. Like, no matter what iteration of Lex Luthor you find, he's always on.
He's always just plotting to kill Superman.
Yeah. I can't stand that Superman. No matter if the human race is about to be annihilated, it doesn't matter.
His plots within his plots have like... I mean, just honestly, all of, like the lineage stuff is also super cool.
Because I know there was a few of the New Age heroes that were subsidiaries of the old age heroes, whether, like I said, whether it be their kids or whether it be, just they take the mantle from somebody else and remix it a little bit.
Yeah.
Best NPC? It's not Deadman. It can't be Deadman.
The UN.
Yeah. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Obligatory drop the nukes. UN guy.
I like that a lot. I do love that a lot. Favorite action sequence?
The big fight.
The big fight. There it is.
The big superhero fight.
The big fight. Favorite line?
The bit that Superman says to Shazam is just super important. Like, that's... You want to talk about, like, lines of dialogue or whatever the case may be that, like, define a character? That whole bit defines not just Superman, but it defines Shazam also. So, I mean, that just sticks out to me. Like, when you read it, you're like, holy moly. Like, that's an exposition dump and, like, a line that, like, you wouldn't usually see outside of, like, a graphic novel, really. Like, that felt very, like, Watchmen-esque. Just reading that whole scene unfold and, like, the close-up shots of, like, close-up panels of Shazam's eyes as, like, Superman's talking and, like, you can tell, like, it's resonating. And then it just propels Billy to do what he does at the end. And, yeah, that whole diatribe by Superman to Shazam is just amazing.
I'm going to keep this very simple. You know what the best line of dialogue is in here is? Judgment. Just when the nuke goes off and the Spectre just says judgment and that's it. It is the most definitive and defining line of this whole thing, in my opinion. Like, that's what you've been waiting for it still happened. But can we rebuild out of this?
Can we? Yes.
We had a kid. We bought a zoo. All right. Favorite panel? New category alert that took over the favorite shot, favorite panel.
The reemergence of the Justice League.
Yeah.
Like when they all kind of fly in.
I'm gonna. That's so tough. I don't know why I really like the apocalypse stuff. Like, I just like that kind of 2-pager. Like, just because they're out in space and, like, Orion's like, I'm good, man. Everything's good out here. It's like when you haven't seen, like, your acquaintance for a while. It's not your friend, but it's like somebody you know. It's been a couple years. That's exactly what that exchange between Superman and Orion was. Everything's good, man. You're like, mom's good. Dad's
Mom's
good.
good.
Dad died actually. Your dad kind of sucked though. So.
Also, just from a cool standpoint, the close up of Superman when he's in amongst the sea of bodies.
Oh yeah,
eyes,
yeah.
And like the smokes around him. That's just a really well drawn.
Yeah.
Piece. I mean, the whole thing is incredible.
Thank you, Alex.
Incredibly
Ross.
drawn.
You've done your thing. And then, I mean, your favorite character.
Superman.
Yeah.
This is, we talked about it last week when we talked about like favorite Superman stories, or like stories that like don't betray the character.
Yep.
Like we talked, that's why I'm glad we talked about this coming off of what we talked about last week, was because like the evil Superman trope, like, that's why both of us kind of have like a slight issue with Injustice, where like Superman wouldn't go that far due to like one bad day.
Yeah, because the conceit of Injustice is this universe is somewhat close to the normal continuity Earth, so like why would Superman go that far off the rails? Like, this is what would happen. Like, of anything, he would exile himself. Like, that's what he would do. Mm-hmm. But it makes so much more sense. It's so much more plausible. So. And
then like he, in a way he does, incidentally create kind of like a quasi-fascist state, like he does in Injustice.
Yeah, yep.
It's just not like instead of in Injustice, he's obviously just trying to eradicate crime.
Yep.
And in this, he's just trying to get everyone to see things his way, which both are equally fascist, but one is like passively fascist, where he's just trying to impose his own morality on everybody, which also is wrong. Like,
right.
You also shouldn't do that.
Right.
Even if you are on kind of the more righteous side of it, like you still should let people, make their own choices, which is exactly why the last moment between him and Shazam is so important. Like, because he's letting Shazam make the choice. Whereas this entire comic, he wasn't letting anyone make a choice. He was like, you're going to abide by my rules, or you're going to rot.
It's either truth, justice, or the American way, or
you rot.
Or you rot in the gulag.
And, that's why at the end is so important, because he gives Billy the choice. He's like, I realize basically now I shouldn't have been making all these choices. I don't have a right to make these choices. Even if it kills us all, I still don't have the right to make that decision, but you do, because you understand it better than everybody else. So that's why I love what they do with Superman in this.
Yep. And that's Kingdom Come. Good stuff. Good stuff, DC.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's, hopefully it's something that we see, in the future in other media. I think it'd be really, really interesting to try and tackle that. We've seen inspo from it in different different walks of life, different things and different shows and stuff. So I would like to see it adapted proper into something. Particularly probably the animated side, just because the animated DC stuff is just tremendous. So hopefully that happens. I know that was on the table at one point, and then it kind of got shelved recently due to all the reshuffling going on. But yeah, it's a timeless story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost 30 years on.
Yeah.
But much of the themes and the plot and everything are still incredibly relevant, especially as it relates, like I said with Superman, like that morality piece. Like, even if you think what you're doing is right, like it still doesn't give you the right to impose that on everybody. And I think that's an important part of this story, and insofar as saying, hey, like maybe you do have the high ground, the moral high ground, but you still have to let people make their own decisions. Yeah. And that's kind of what the Spectre's role is in all this. Like, Norman kind of like is constantly bagging on him, like, can't you do something?
Yeah.
And the Spectre's
I mean, that's why the religious connotations in here are super evident. I mean, Superman essentially is God in this situation where, Judgment Day is coming, and, whoever is, here will be saved. Whoever is, ready to be saved will be saved. So, like I said, just an incredible piece, thought-provoking piece. And this is DC at its absolute best in stories like this, where they're not worried about continuity. It's funny, like, anytime DC's not worried about, like, continuity and, the next issue of something to have to play into something, like, usually is when it operates off its best, even if it's not an Elseworlds thing. Like, they operate just absolutely incredibly. And yeah, this is 2 comics in, and I'm having fun talking some comics finally.
Yeah, and even, the Spectre too is kind of obviously, how people, the Spectre also asks acts as this analog for how people view God, in the sense that, like, can't you do something? Like, can't you, which, you know, people ask of God all the time.
Right.
Like, why does God allow bad things to happen? And the Spectre basically lays it out. Like, they have to make their own decisions. Like, and, you know, that's ultimately the conclusion that Superman also comes to, as being kind of like the God that can act.
Right.
As, you know, that's the decision he comes to, is like, we have to let people choose, ultimately. And, man, yeah, it's just a really great story. Obviously the artwork, you can get lost in the artwork.
Yeah, it's stunning to look at. I mean, like I said, there was the World's Finest line, I think they called it, where it was like Superman, Peace on Earth, Batman, War on Crime, like all these stories that Alex Ross draws are all incredible. Like I said, at some point, hopefully in the near future, I really want to talk about Justice, because Justice is very simple. It's very much just the Justice League versus the Injustice League, but just the way they go about it is very complex and very, very cool. But yeah, like I always say, comics are really stupid, really dumb, but sometimes you find the gems, and you find just these absolutely incredible stories realized by these absolutely incredible creators.
Yeah, and that's really all there is to it. Short of that was Kingdom Come. Any final thoughts?
No, I mean, next week we're definitely gonna. I don't know. I don't know next week.
Yeah, it's kind of like a week by week thing, to be honest with you, because, you know, as soon as the minute this strike and everything gets resolved, I mean, we're gonna have a backlog of things that we've been, you know, obviously talking about, but we'll wait to officially talk about it on the podcast until after everything's resolved. But I mean, we have a backlog of things to talk about, so we don't even know how that's even gonna form in itself yet. So
it means we're doing Daredevil Born Again next week.
So yeah, it's kind of a week by week. We kind of just like, hey, we want to talk about this, and then that's what we do. So next week, not sure. We'll figure it out. Until then, you can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook, Project Infinite Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at ProjectINF_pod. You can follow us on Instagram
at the Project Infinite Pod. And
yeah, man, that was Kingdom Come. Great story. Obviously, again, just thought provoking. Will definitely resonate with you if you sit down and read it. You can get the whole 4 issues in one book. On Amazon.
Some of our books are cooler than others' books. Where'd you even get that?
I got it on Amazon.
I got mine from Amazon, but mine's... I guess I couldn't spring that one.
Yeah, I got the little extra bit. It's got some extra bits.
I have the backlog stuff, but I don't have that much backlog stuff.
I got a lot of backlog stuff.
Man, that's kind of... You have the deluxe edition?
Yeah, I got the DLC. The Kingdom Come DLC.
I don't have that at all.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the other thing too, is like with comics is, you know, you always want to try and be careful with what you're getting, because sometimes you'll be like, oh, I want this thing, and then it's only like one issue of the thing, and you're like, so make sure you're really doing your research when you're trying to get a hold of these things, because comics can be tricky in that way. Like, I really do wish there was a more streamlined kind of accessibility piece to comics. I think that would be great. We're kind of getting there, but you know, with Comixology and Amazon, you know, they've attempted to do it, but it's still not really where I would want it to be, as far as like people being able to get like access to full books and full stories. But this one is easily gettable if you so choose.
Give me a number 1 through 37.
20.
20. Captain Atom, human nuclear reactor and symbol of the atomic age.
No, not Captain Atom.
That is crazy that you picked Captain Atom. And the last page of literally the entire comic, they have the spread, like the famous Alex Ross spread of all the characters.
Yeah.
And it's 1 through 37. Give me another one.
17.
17. Hourman number 3, current inheritor of the mantle with none of the time limits implied by the name. That's kind of cool.
Ah, so he's Hours Man.
Yeah, he's Hours Man. He gets multiple hours. Nice.
Very, very, very cool.
Good job, Hours Man. That's a much better name. Instead of Hourman 3 is Hours Man.
Did all the plugs, did all the things. Next week is a thing. So yeah, I think that's pretty much gonna do it for us this
Maybe
week.
we let the people vote on what we do. Maybe we give them the choice.
Oh,
Just like Superman gave Billy the choice, maybe we let the people decide what we do.
they can't be trusted.
Can they not?
I don't know.
We might give you guys 4 options and you pick.
Yeah, man. That's maybe we'll do that. Yeah. But until then, from me, from the
Careful, man.
from the Scott Free of the podcast.
I'll take it. 2 weeks in a row, eh? No, I didn't get it last week, did I?
No.
I forget who I got last week.
Can't remember. I'm gonna have to listen to like all 100 some odd episodes and write down a list because I'm doomed to repeat one at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, until then, we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Peace on Earth.